question is, the environmental movement and climate change movement are divided, and a lot of it is captured by the capitalists. So what should we do? And I would say that um, the mainstream environmental movement and the climate change movement work together, and the grassroots environmentalists are often opposing them. And the reason for this is that a lot of the mainstream environmental movement and the climate change movement are primarily about preserving this way of life, as opposed to grassroots environmentalists who are trying to protect pieces of ground or trying to protect wild nature. And this is a capture that has taken place of the mainstream environmental movement really over the last 30 or 40 years. And it's interesting because the conflict over what should the environmental movement be about goes back to the Gifford-Pinchot, John Muir split 100 and some years ago. That Gifford-Pinchot was primarily that when the national forests were founded and the national park system, that it should all be for wise use, basically to use them as resources for the future. And John Muir was of the mindset that nature should be preserved for its own sake. And this is the split that has been down the environmental movement for a long time. And for a while, the environmental movement was really about protecting wild places. That the John Muir side of it, the nature side of it, the wildlife side of it was in ascendancy. But that's really the last 30 or 40 years as neoliberalism has destroyed everything. Neoliberalism has really destroyed a lot of the environmental movement. And climate change has done that too. Their climate change movement, which prioritizes, again, and they're very explicit about this, saving this way of life over saving wild nature. So what should we do? Well, I think the first thing we have to do, and this is probably going to be my answer to a lot of these questions, is that we should make our loyalty to the natural world, because without wild nature, there is nothing. I mean, the planet is the source of all life, and it's astounding to me that that anybody, especially those who call themselves environmentalists, can prioritize saving this way of life over saving life on the planet. It's just monumentally stupid. So what we need to do is make our loyalty to the natural world, and all of your actions spring out from there.